Every beam hoisted, every anchor sunk into concrete. It all adds up to a house built to survive tornadoes, fire, and time itself. As the crew went up, little dogleg left about an hour northwest of Sioux Falls, where Ryan Senden and his crew are there for the summer, putting their craft to the test.
Today, we got to come up here right off Round Lake with Ryan Senden Construction. He originally called us about 4 months ago, and we delayed this because he said, Steve, I've got this badass structure I'm building up off Round Lake. I want you to come up in a little bit. Not yet. And here we are. Ryan, what's up,
Steve,
brother?
Thanks for coming today.
Let's go check this behemoth out. This thing looks solid.
Come on in.
Welcome to Spotlight Sioux Falls, where culture meets commerce and the people behind our favorite places get the mic.
We're your hosts, Melissa Goodwin and Steve Schmidt, and we're sitting down with the makers, doers, and dreamers shaping the soul of our city.
From storefronts to side hustles, tattoos to tech startups, we are telling the stories that make Sioux Falls shine.
Because behind every business is a human story, and those stories, they're what make our community feel like home. This is Spotlight Sioux Falls.
Welcome to another edition of Spotlight Sioux Falls. We're going to be outside today. I'm with Ryan Senden. I've got to know Ryan over the past couple months that we've been planning this, and him and his crew have been working on this home and a lot of other stuff at the same time. Ryan, welcome to the show, man. You're a big deal on Instagram.
Thank you for having me.
Photos of your stuff.
Thanks for having me. We appreciate you guys coming out. We're happy to be here. It's a beautiful day.
Well, you love the work you do. So your crew's here, everybody's popping. It's, you guys have been going since the coffee's been pouring. How did we get here? And was it a phone call? Was it an inquiry? Because it always leads from somewhere.
Yeah, so actually, close family friends of ours, my mother's best friend since they were kids, they've been hounding me about building a house for them for the last few years, and here we are. We've been planning for a long time and prepping and doing blueprints and figuring out location, and now we're here.
So this is a how long project from start to finish when you break ground into when this is done?
Typically, about 7 to 12 months, depending on the level of finish.
Okay, so if you're out there, and we're going to show you a lot about the work that Ryan loves to do, and you can start to see it as we go around here. This isn't the house down the street that gets thrown up in a couple months, they move on to do the next one. A lot of time and care that Ryan and his crew put into this. So Ryan, you got to tell me, actually you got to tell everybody else, why did you get into this particular kind of construction?
There's a lot of structural elements that I really appreciate outside of the aesthetic, which is just beautiful, seeing all these timbers, floating in the air, everything's exposed, As a builder that's built in a bunch of different mediums, whether it's structural steel, precast concrete, block wall, there's something about wood that's awesome. Its resistance to fire is great. And then the structural aspects that you can get when properly fastened to your foundation, you can get, crazy ratings for wind loads, uplift, different stuff like that. And that was a big draw for me,
So this right here, you described to me earlier, this is anchored how many inches down to prevent, and let's walk people through, what is uplift? It's preventing, or it has a certain uplift to it.
Yes, so there's steel anchors that turn in. They're 3/4 inch diameter by 8 inch long Titan HD turn-in anchors that anchor down into the concrete, and they provide a resistance to uplift. So this is basically an L bracket. It's buried underneath this bottom plate, and we fasten it in according to what the structural engineer wants to see. And what these brackets do is they help give some resistance to swing, but primarily it's for uplift. So when you get heavy winds pushing on the building, what this does is prevent the timbers from wanting to come up. So instead of relying on little 1/2 inch anchor bolts on a conventionally framed home, bolting the plate down to the foundation, we have massive anchors on both sides of these posts that help with shear strength, helps with uplift. I mean, it has so many different functions that help this thing stand forever.
Safety is pretty important, so I'm going to be pretty good. Unless I get smacked on the head with a tornado, I'm going to be okay.
Yep, short of a direct hit, these homes are going to withstand the test.
That's important. You mentioned something, that wood is fire resistant.
Yeah, so you heat up a steel I-beam, you get to a certain point, it's going to turn into a wet noodle and bend like one. If you take a chunk of a 6x8 Douglas fir and put it in a fire pit, how long is it going to take to burn to the middle?
A long time.
So if you ask a firefighter, hey, what kind of a building would you rather go into? One with massive structural timbers that are going to take forever to burn, or ones with steel I-beams that turn into wet noodles. Same thing with conventionally framed. That lumber's a lot smaller. It gets hotter at its core a lot faster, and therefore it'll burn faster. So having the structure solely dependent on the timbers gives it a longevity and resistance to fire that's, I mean, really second to none.
All right, so it can't just be you. Sometimes that's a good thing. Well, it's always a good thing, but that involves hiring people. It involves managing people. And I think a lot of people don't think about that when they start a company, or they don't realize how hard it can be. But you sound like you're overjoyed with the team you have. How did you decide to build this team? Because that came with intention. This isn't an accident.
It really started just working at other parts of the industry and realizing that, like, hey, if we don't have good chemistry on this team that shows up every day, we don't have anything. We're going to be inefficient.
What would be so bad chemistry can happen, right? What's an example of what you're not looking for in people?
Well, substance abuse, unfortunately, is a big problem in the industry.
Yep.
That's a big one. Attitude. Attitude is number one. It's the first thing I talk about in every interview.
Willingness to learn. Are they learning from you from day one?
Absolutely. One of my big hiring requirements is that you can read a tape measure and that you have good attitude. We will teach you the rest. Everything else in this business is teachable. You cannot teach someone to have a good attitude. They have to bring that to the table.
Who teaches you?
The wood. The wood is the best teacher. I mean, you have to go out into the field and make the mistakes, and you got to get the sawzall out. You got to get the hammer out. You got to get the concrete saw out, and you got to cut your mistakes out. And the material will teach you. I had great teachers that taught me the basics, but making mistakes, that's where you learn.
Unfortunately, I say that because it sucks in real time to make them, but it seems like that's unavoidable in business.
Yeah, and if you're not making mistakes, you're not doing enough.
And your job is to make sure that the end product doesn't have mistakes. So the whole time, this has been learning, but no matter what, the end customer can't be the one who points it out to you, right? It's
absolutely. And you know, one of the best attributes of a good carpenter can hide his mistakes. And when I say hide, I don't mean that with a negative connotation. You have to learn how to adapt,
right,
and roll with what's in front of you. And you got to fix your mistakes, but a good carpenter will know where and when they can sheet and hide and get that end product that's structurally sound with the aesthetically pleasing finish. And there's ways to do it.
Are you looking to hire more in the future?
Absolutely. We're always looking for the right people to add to our team.
Okay, so I know a lot of guys who do construction, and my brother's one of them, for example, we talked about. It is a certain vibe, right? A lot of people in the white-collar world would fall over and die by noon, myself probably included, but I'm very curious about it. I know I'm scared of heights. What do you think is in people to say, I want this, not that life? Not that that life's bad. They want to be out, get their hands dirty, do this every day, go home tired instead of like go to a fulfilling office job. Because I don't think there are a lot of people interviewing for you who work at Citibank.
Right. I think honestly, specifically with what we do, it takes an artist. And there's different kinds of artists. And there's different mediums that you can express yourself through. And what we do is very different from what a lot of people do. And a lot of these guys that work with us have found us or know of me or have known me and seen our social media and see what we do. And they see that, hey, this is not your average run-of-the-mill project. There's something artistic. This is really pretty to look at. And I think that's drawn a lot of people our way. So.
In 10 years, where is Ryan Senden Construction at? Not how much money you make. I know you don't think that way. Not how many homes you built, but what are you known for in 10 years?
Having the best team, the most responsive team in the Sioux Falls market.
Yeah.
We want to be the guys that you call because, hey, so-and-so was in our house. This guy was in our house. They were in our house and they were all awesome.
That's phenomenal because that's not easy to do.
Trust is really hard to get in the construction world because there's already enough negative connotations that come with construction workers. So it's really important to me that, you know, when I hire, I understand like you're going to be in our client's bedroom by the jewelry box. If I can't trust you to be there, I can't have you. And I would not put someone in that situation, you know, if I did not trust them completely.
Integrity is everything. And I think it's one thing I've learned over the years. It's not easy all the time, but it's always the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
What's the hardest thing you've had to tell a customer, someone who's building a home, the news that you're like, I don't want to make this call right now?
We got to spend another $15,000 for this. And this is why.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. You know, stuff comes up and you can't plan for all of it. And you know, that's the hardest part. You tell the client right away, like, hey, stuff happens.
Yeah.
But until it happens, that doesn't really sink in. But telling people, hey, we got to spend more money to get this done right. That's usually the hardest conversation that we have.
Trust is also hard. Your team, you trust each one of these guys. I say guys because they're all guys here today. There may be some females in the future who wander out there. I know that's kind of a rising tide in construction, and it's a badass one.
We have a lot of females that are instrumental to our team.
I love that. Let's talk about that. You have a drafter you talked about?
Yeah, so we work with Precision Draftworks and Design, Ivy Craft. She does all of our architectural blueprints. She draws all kinds of small details for me. She brings us jobs.
Yeah.
We bring her jobs. I mean, we really do work with her exclusively.
Yeah.
Also, my fiance, Grace.
Shout out, Grace.
Shout out, Grace. Woo! I mean, we would not be here without her.
She has a good name for this.
Yes, she does. We would not be here. She handles all the boys' payroll. Yeah. She handles all the accounts payable, accounts receivable. I mean, she basically does all of the back-end work to keep this company afloat.
That allows you to be more present, I suppose, too.
Yes, and I also have to shout out my bookkeeper, Julie, who saved my business. She saved my business.
Oh, yeah.
When I didn't know how to do anything, I mean, I took personal finance in high school.
Right.
So when I started this business, I just started at the top row of an Excel spreadsheet and started logging payment.
Minus, yeah.
And then when I finally brought that to the accountant looked at me like, you're crazy. What am I supposed to do with this? And I'm like, well, file my taxes. Well, I can't do that. So
fully laughing because I've been there.
Basically, the accountant told me, hey, you need to go talk to Julie.
Right.
And Julie, she straightened out my books. And if there's be a recommendation I can make to small business owners, getting started, get a bookkeeper and get a good one.
All right. So you said you have a crazy story from your way, way younger years. What is it and what did you do?
Yeah. So we were building a big barn, similar structure to this. It was a huge gambrel style barn out in the middle of a cornfield. And I had a bigger crew at that time, and I had boomed all the guys up onto the roof with 4 different machines just to find myself on the ground with no way to get up onto the roof. So on that there machine, I crawled up the back of the machine and actually crawled up the boom of the telehandler to get up onto this roof.
Was the Top Gun song playing like, there's no easy way out?
Yeah, that's exactly what was going on.
I bet you were scared.
Yeah, about 3/4 of the way up, I was shaking. But we made it to the top, and I'll never do that again.
So you said younger years. Obviously, safety is a big deal now. 7 years later, you own your own company. What do you do with your guys and gals when they come on the site? Day one, how are you saying these are our standards? This is how I'm going to keep you safe.
I think the biggest thing goes back to chemistry. When we interview and we hire, we tell these guys, like, hey, this is a family. You wouldn't watch one of your close family members do something stupid. So keep your eyes open and watch after each other, take care of each other, and make sure that we're not doing stuff that's not safe. I mean, obviously, we implement safety programs, fall protection, all the high airtime stuff. But the reality is having your comrades back. We got to have each other's back every day on the field, and we have an amazing team that does it well.
So my understanding is in the construction industry, there's maybe some movement. Like not all people stay at the same place very long. How important is it to keep the same crew long term? That sort of, you build that team stays together versus constantly plugging in new parts.
It's just like building a building, man. You got to have a solid foundation. Right. So when we hire a guy, I'm not hiring a guy to keep on for 3-4 months or have them seasonally. When we hire someone, we're looking at a blank slate that we want to build up personally and through the business and give them the tools that they need to actually learn this industry. So whether they stay long-term or whether they turn around, they're going to have a solid foundation. We're not looking for laborers. We're looking for team members that want to work long-term and grow with the business.
All right, Bryce, we could ask you, what is it like working with Ryan?
All right. So a little bit of a complicated question, but honestly, I love working for Ryan. So previously, I'll just do a little bit of a background on how I kind of came into the company maybe. So right out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps for 5 years. And then Ryan actually went out of his way and he kind of helped me get into this program where the Marine Corps or any other branch as well, they kind of help with transitioning out of the Marine Corps because sometimes that's difficult for veterans. But so I got onto a program and then I was able to actually get out of the Marine Corps just a couple months early. And then I came and started doing framework for Ryan. Framing for about 1.5 years. And then I had back surgery. So I went away for a little bit. It was tough. But then came back and I've been doing project management for about 1.5 years. But that being said, I love working for Ryan. It's fast paced. It's always going. Sometimes it's a little chaotic, but we like to use the phrase controlled chaos. So
Yeah.
it's good though. All things good.
Last question. Thanks for time. I know your crew's already looking at you like, get over here and tell us what to do again. Actually, they can do it all on their own, which is great. Ryan's over there doing his thing.
Yep.
Describe to me like the moment you remember more than any other moment in this job where you're like, that was special. That was intense. That was scary, because there's always something that sticks out that says, man, that was profound.
So like a good experience or a bad?
Let's talk about a good one.
Okay.
The work you're the most proud of, where you're like, damn.
Sure. So, let's see. It was 2 winters ago. We built another lake cabin up on Enemy Swim, which is a little bit northern South Dakota, near Waubay, for people who are familiar with Enemy Swim.
Yeah.
But that was the second timber frame I had done, and there was one day when we were going to install roof panels on the roof, because they have a large roof panel system.
Yeah.
And we knocked the entire roof out in a day.
Damn.
And it was just, things were clicking, the guys were working together, we were going fast, and we weren't making mistakes. And that was just a great day.
You woke up and it wasn't a dream.
Exactly, yeah. It was cold out, it was in the middle of the winter, but we pushed through and we got it all done.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for spending a couple minutes with us. I know everyone that counts on when you're on the site.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. All right, so somebody wants to learn more about the kind of structures that you build, this kind of timber-based, very sturdy home, or they want to work with you. Let's start at the first one. Like, let's say they're not ready for that yet. Where would you send them? And of course, let's tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Well, first, I mean, where I really got interested was in old barns. Old barns really showcase true carpenter's work. And this was back when we didn't have telehandlers and we didn't have all these fancy machines, you know. These beams were lifted with ropes and a ton of people.
Right.
You know, go look inside of these barns. If you like what you see, move to YouTube.
Yeah.
The coolest stuff you can imagine is really on YouTube. And that was my progression. And then I went overseas and did a class that was all about traditional log home building and timber framing. And there's classes like that all over the country.
Yeah. Well, here's the good news. You're going to be on YouTube now, so people are going to learn by watching you. How do they get a hold of you if they're not finding you on YouTube on Spotlight Sioux Falls?
First off, check out our website, ryansendenconstruction.com. Our Instagram page is just Ryan Senden Construction. All of our contact info is on the website. It's also on the Instagram. You can DM me on Instagram. You call, text me any time of day. I'm really passionate about growing this industry, working with young people and people that are interested. I'll entertain anything.
Brother, it's been so real. Thanks for having us today. You got a great thing going on. My new personal goal is to build a home with you.
Hell yeah.
All right,
we
man.
appreciate that.
Thanks for tuning in to Spotlight Sioux Falls. We've been with Ryan Senden and his crew, Ryan Senden Construction, up here by Lake Madison, but inside this interior. So tune in next time, but definitely go back, hit the rewind button, watch it again, and send it to your friends. Subscribe. Thanks so much. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Spotlight Sioux Falls.
These are the stories and the businesses that shape our city. If you heard something today that made you smile, made you think, or maybe reminded you of someone you know in your neighborhood, please share it.
That's how we support local. That's how we grow. And if you know a business owner we should feature, or you want to tell your story, reach out.
Until next time, we're Steve and Melissa, and this is Spotlight Sioux Falls, where local stories get the stage they deserve.